It's 3:17 a.m., pitch black, somewhere in the mountains of central Luzon, 2002. A 53-year-old American four-star general is lying face down in the mud, cheek pressed against the cold steel of a Remington M24 sniper rifle that doesn't even belong to him. His heart is hammering so hard he's sure the enemy can hear it. He hasn't pulled a trigger in anger since Vietnam, 31 years ago. Tonight he's not supposed to be here at all. He's supposed to be in Manila, drinking San Miguel with diplomats. But right now, three armed terrorists are walking straight toward the children's clinic his troops spent 6 months building. And the only thing standing between those kids and a massacre are three Filipino scout snipers who just handed their general their own rifle and whispered the sentence that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Sir, with all due respect, you're the only one who can make these shots. 3 shots, 3 kills, and one moment that shattered everything this man thought he knew about courage, leadership, and who really carries a war. This is the untold story of General Edward "Eddie" Ramirez, the highest-ranking American officer to ever take a combat shot after Vietnam, and how 3 22-year-old Filipino snipers forced a 4-star general to question whether he had wasted his entire career behind a desk. Most of the world is still staring at Afghanistan, hunting bin Laden in the caves of Tora Bora. But on the other side of the planet, in the jungles of Basilan Island, a different war is quietly exploding. The Abu Sayyaf group, a vicious mix of kidnappers, pirates, and jihadists, has turned the southern Philippines into their playground. Washington can't ignore it anymore. So they launch Operation Enduring Freedom, Philippines. Officially, it's just training and advise. Unofficially, 500 Green Berets, SEALs, and Air Force Special Tactics guys are about to go hunting. Leading the American side is a man who looks like he was carved out of a recruitment poster. Lieutenant General Edward Ramirez, United States Army. West Point 71.2 tours in Vietnam as a baby-faced lieutenant. Bronze Star with V, Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts. By 2002, he's the commander of U.S. Army Pacific. 4 stars, 78,000 troops under him. Answers only to the president and God, and even God checks his schedule first. Everyone calls him Sir Eddie. He hates it. He'll correct you the first time, then give up. Now, General Ramirez is no stranger to war, but he hasn't heard a round snap past his head in 3 decades. His wars now are fought with PowerPoint slides in Honolulu, arguing budget lines with senators who couldn't find Basilan on a map if you gave them a GPS and a bloodhound. But something's been eating at him for years. So when the Joint Special Operations Task Force, Philippines stands up, Ramirez does something no 4-star general has done since Norman Schwarzkopf used to sneak into Kuwait with Delta Force in 1991. He volunteers to go into the field. His staff loses their minds. His chief of staff actually says, "Sir, with respect, you're a strategic asset. If you get hurt, Pacific Command shuts down." Ramirez just smiles and says, "Son, the only thing shutting down is my patience for excuses." March 2002. A Black Hawk drops him on a dirt strip in Zamboanga City. The heat hits like a wet towel. Within 48 hours, he's wearing jungle boots, no rank, no flag, just a faded name tape that says Ramirez in black block letters. And that's when he meets them. 3 kids, barely old enough to shave, from the Philippine Army's Elite Scout Ranger Regiment, attached to the SOTF as liaison snipers. Staff Sergeant Danilo Bong Malabanan, 24 years old, from a rice farm in Nueva Ecija. Sergeant First Class Romeo, they just call him Doc. Torres, 23, medical corpsman turned sniper, soft voice, hands steady as granite. And the baby of the group, Corporal Isagani Gani Santos, 22, Manila Street kid turned soldier, eyes that have already seen too much. These 3 have more confirmed kills than most American sniper schools have graduates. They move like ghosts. They speak 4 dialects, broken English, and perfect silence. The Americans love them. The Abu Sayyaf fear them. Even the local dogs stop barking when they walk by. General Ramirez watches them train one afternoon and feels something he hasn't felt since he was a lieutenant. Raw, embarrassing envy. He asks Bong, point blank, "How many?" Bong knows exactly what he means. He shrugs, "Sir, we don't count after 50. Bad luck." Ramirez laughs, but inside something twists. Fast forward to June 2002. Intelligence says Abu Sayyaf, second in command, a sadistic bastard named Aldam Tileo, call sign Abu Sabaya, is hiding in the mountains above the town of Lamitan. Sabaya was the one who personally beheaded an American tourist the year before and mailed the video to CNN. The task force wants him bad. For weeks, Bong, Doc, and Ghani have been running reconnaissance, crawling through leech-infested swamps, sleeping in trees, mapping every trail. They find the perfect hide, an abandoned nipa hut on a ridge overlooking a narrow valley. The clinic treats 200 kids a day. No guards, just nuns and volunteers. The plan is simple. Wait for Sabaya to move, take the shot, extract before dawn. But there's a problem. The hide is 1,140 meters from the kill zone. That's extreme range for the Filipinos' old M24S with match 7.62. At that distance, wind, humidity, and the Coriolis effect turn every shot into a prayer. The Americans offer their .300 Win Mag Barretts, but the Filipinos politely decline. They know their rifles. They know their jungle. They don't trust anything else. For 10 nights they wait. Nothing. On night 11, everything goes sideways. A tropical storm rolls in. Monsoon rain so hard you can't see 10 feet. Lightning flashes every few seconds. The ridge turns into a waterfall. Then the radio crackles. Sabaya is moving early. He's got 12 fighters with him, heading straight for the clinic. Intel says they're planning to take hostages, kids, to use as human shields for their escape to sea. The quick reaction force is 2 hours away. There is no backup. Only 4 men are in position. General Ramirez, who insisted on coming to observe, and the 3 Filipino snipers. They're soaked, shivering, lips turning blue. Bong checks the range again. 80 meters now. Wind gusting 18 knots left to right. Rain dropping velocity like a stone. He looks at document. Doc looks at Ghani. And that's when Bong says the words. Sir, we can't make this shot. Not tonight. Not in this storm. Down below, they can see flashlights bobbing. Sabaya's men already surrounding the clinic. Ramirez feels 31 years of staff meetings and ceremony scripts fall away. He asks one question. Whose rifle is driest? Ghani hands him his M24 without a word. The general racks the bolt. The sound is obscenely loud in the storm. Bong lies down next to him, becomes his spotter. Doc feeds wind calls. Ghani crawls forward 20 meters with a thermal to confirm targets. Ramirez hasn't fired a sniper rifle since the 1980s. Sir, breathe through your mouth. Remember Key-san. The mountain is not your enemy tonight. Fear is. Ramirez almost laughs. A 24-year-old sergeant is coaching a 4-star general. He settles behind the rifle. First target, Abu Sabaya himself, standing under the clinic's tin roof, barking orders, illuminated every few seconds by lightning. Range, 1,067 meters. Wind, 16 knots full value. Drop, 38.2 minutes of angle. Bong's voice is calm. Hold half a mil right. Favor the top of the reticle, send it. The general exhales. He pulls the trigger. The shot is deafening. 0.2 seconds later. An eternity. The valley echoes with a wet thwack. Sabaya drops straight down, like someone cut his strings. For one heartbeat, nobody moves, then chaos. Kids are screaming inside the clinic. Doc's voice now. He's moving left to right. 8 miles an hour. Lead him 1 mil now. Ramirez works the bolt. The empty casing lands on his hand. Burns like fire. He doesn't feel it. Second shot. The radio man flips backward, radio exploding in his hand. 2 down. But now the remaining fighters figure out the direction of fire. They start bounding toward the ridge, using fire and maneuver, exactly like U.S. Rangers teach. There's no time for a third long shot. The closest fighter, a big guy with an M60 machine gun, is already 400 meters away and closing fast. Ghani's voice comes over the radio, calm as a prayer. General, switch to the CAR-15. For 100 meters, he's mine if you miss. Ramirez drops the sniper rifle, grabs the short M4 variant the Filipinos carry. The machine gunner stops, plants his feet, starts to level the M60 toward the ridge. The fighter drops .3 shots. 3 kills. The ridge goes silent except for the rain. Down in the valley, the nuns herd the kids into the chapel. 15 minutes later, The storm breaks just enough for a Filipino Huey to swoop in. The 4 men pile in, soaked in mud and adrenaline. Nobody speaks on the flight back. When they land at the task force compound, the American operators waiting on the tarmac see the general step off carrying a Filipino M24, face black with camouflage paint, and something else nobody can name. Word spreads like wildfire. By morning, the base is buzzing. Did you hear? The 4-star just smoked 3 ASG from 1,000 meters in a typhoon. No friendly casualties. The real story stays between 4 men and God. But the story doesn't end there. Because 3 weeks later, General Ramirez is summoned to the Philippine Army HQ in Manila. He thinks it's for a medal ceremony. Instead, he walks into a room with the Philippine Chief of Staff, the U.S. Ambassador, and a table holding 3 wooden boxes. Inside each box is a single 7.62 match casing, the exact rounds fired that night. The Philippine general speaks first. General Ramirez, on behalf of a grateful nation, my snipers have a request. He nods to Bong. Bong steps forward, voice cracking just slightly. Sir, those were our rifles. Our rounds. Our fight. But you pulled the trigger when we could not. In our culture, the man who fires the shot owns the story and the responsibility. We cannot accept medals for that night. The honor is yours alone. But we ask one thing. Carry these casings with you. When people ask what a general does in war, tell them sometimes he lies in the mud with soldiers half his age and remembers why he put the uniform on in the first place. Ramirez, the man who has received the Legion of Merit 5 times, who shook hands with 4 presidents, starts crying in front of 20 witnesses. He takes the 3 casings and puts them in his pocket. They never leave him. He retires 2 years later. On his last day in uniform, he does something unheard of. Instead of the usual Pentagon ceremony with marching bands, he flies back to Zamboanga. Just him, a driver, and 3 casings in a leather pouch. He finds Bong running a small security company, Doc working as a trauma nurse in Manila, and Ghani, now a captain, training the next generation of Scout Rangers. They drink Red Horse beer under a mango tree until sunrise. No cameras, no speeches. Just 4 men who once shared a night no one else will ever understand. General Edward Ramirez dies in 2019 at age 70. At his funeral in Arlington, the eulogy is given by a Philippine Army Major General who most Americans have never heard of. In the front row sit 3 Filipino men in civilian clothes, eyes red. When TAPS plays, they don't salute American style. They render the Filipino hand-over-heart salute, fingers spread in the Scout Ranger way. The Army tried to remove them. The Honor Guard refused. Because some stories don't belong to countries. They belong to the men who live them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true story of the night 3 Filipino snipers handed a 4-star general their rifle and reminded him that rank doesn't make you a soldier. Mud does, courage does. And sometimes, 3 shots in a storm. If this story moved you even a little, if it reminded you that real heroes often wear no stars on their shoulders at all, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. Because next week, I'm dropping the story of the teenage girl who became the most feared sniper in Mariupol, armed only with a 100-year-old Mosin Nagant and pure hate. You're not going to want to miss it. And to Bong, Doc, and Ghani, wherever you are tonight. From a grateful internet stranger, Salamat po. And to General Eddie Ramirez. Rest easy, sir. The kids in that clinic grew up because you remembered who you were when it mattered most. We'll take the watch from here.